everybody. Welcome to the comic book crowd. I told you not to do that, you stupid Pokemon. Hey guys, how you guys doing? Welcome to the comic book crowd. How's everybody doing? We got the usual crowd here, so we are going to start to my left with Alan. Introduce yourself, guys.
Hello, all. I'm Alan, Climbing Comics. Glad to be. I guess this is our 10th episode, right, Joe? So I'm really glad to be, hitting double digits with this group, and excited to talk about some books today and talk about some prizes.
Next.
Oops, that's right.
Hi, everybody. Wayne, Squirrel Madness Comics. Really excited for episode 10. Can't believe we're in, like Alan said, in double digits, and it's one of my favorite parts of the month. So I'm glad to be back with you guys.
And unfortunately, the Blasters could not be here today. But because one of the Blasters got called to work, and they're a team. You know what I mean? You know, it's master and madam. You can't have one without the other. So, but we got a really good substitute right here. We have Pretty Fly. Pretty Fly, say hi.
Hi, guys. Hello. I'm so happy to be here. This is such a great topic for me to be a part of because I love art and I love writing, and I'm not too good with CGC, CBS, or CDC. I don't know. I'm not too good with that kind of stuff, but art I do know. So thanks for having me on, Joe.
And now the one, the only, the magnificent Matt Woods of the Matt Woods Comics. Matt?
Hi, I'm Matt Woods, and you're not. What? That's my ode to Saturday Night Live. All right. This is such a fun show. Every month, we all get together, and we discuss comic books. Honestly, it's a great Friday night. I'm really happy to be here with Pretty Fly. Now, he is in place of two people that shall not be named at this moment. They're kind of dastardly duo that just decided to abandon us. I guess work and serving our country gets in the way. But you know what? Maybe we'll be all right because we got the great Pretty Fly here. And so looking forward to a great show, guys.
Great. So let's say hello to the people in the chat here. Talk about this. We have the great, the one, the only Doug Brandt. And Doug, you know what this is? Just came in today. Haven't opened it up yet.
Ooh.
It's a book called Isolation. Isolation. I got a bunch of books in there. Can't wait to open it up. It just got here a few minutes ago.
Ash can.
Oh, ash can. Don't give me the ash can thing. I don't want to get into that. All right. All right, Doug. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. And what do you guys? We got Trev. Hey, you doing? Guy gave us all a great shout out on his channel today. Thanks, Trev. You're a good man. Chuck, my man. Chuck. This guy's so smart. He knows so much about comic books. Chuck, make sure you give us some good comments over here. And look, driving to the airport. Have a great show. All right,
Thanks,
good man.
Yeah.
Good man. Or good people there.
Thanks
Tina.
for being on us.
Hey,
Tina's
Tina.
here. All right, who else is here? Let's see. We've got Randy. Randy, good to see you. Anybody else? Did I miss anybody? Let's see. Mr. Mark.
We have the best chat every
We do.
time we have this show.
I know. And Mark is great. He and I have been talking a lot of like oldie type of things lately, but back and forth. Let's see. Gary B. How you doing, Gary?
A casual comic guy.
I love Gary. Gary's
Yeah.
great. That 10-1-1. Gary, I told you were going to get a record on that show, of people watching live, and you made it. I'm telling you that. I don't think anybody's beaten that record yet. All right. And if you should watch the episode I was in because it was terrific. That's all it is. All right. All right. Who else? You have Phil. Phil-tastic.
Hey, Phil.
How's it going? How's it going? All right, we got Mark already. I don't want to miss anybody before we begin. We got Randy already. Let's see. That might be it. Let's see, Doug. I think I'm all caught up, as someone says. Okay, guys. So welcome to our episode.
I think
10.
I know who he's talking about.
Who was I talking about? I don't know. Who was I talking about here? Wait a minute.
And he rarely is caught up. Tell you that much.
Who was I talking about? Who was I talking about? Anyway, so we had such a great time last episode with the drawing challenge. And so our second part of the show is going to be announcing who the winner is. And I don't know who it's going to be. I mean, it could be any one of us, right, guys? I mean, it could be any one of us, except for Pretty Fly because he wasn't on the show last time. But
Thank God.
we're going to do that. We're also going to pick the winner of the mystery box as well. But first, what we are going to do, and I lied on the thumbnail because I thought we were going to have more people here. So we're going to have 10 of our favorite covers, and the favorite. The basis for the favorite could be basically anything. All right. It's kind of a personal favorite, and we'll discuss why. And the rest of us will either agree, be sentimental about it, or make fun of the person. And so we're not sure what's going to happen yet. So because we're hoping to make fun of the first person, we're going to start with Matt Woods. So Matt, why don't you show us your covers?
So,
You make them big?
all right. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
this episode, we decided we are going to do some of our favorite covers. Now, these are just covers that we personally like, and we're all going to have a reason why, but they're not necessarily the most expensive books. Some of them I'm sure will be. In fact, I actually have no idea what other people have, but somehow these covers just caught us, and we were all talking about this before the show even started. I think it was Joe. Anachronic Comics, he said, I had 2 books at this moment, and then later on I had 2 other books, and I could probably pick 5 more. That's the fun part of collecting comic books, is you don't have to be pigeonholed into a certain book or genre or whatever. You can explore, and maybe your tastes change from moment to moment. And personally, mine do all the time. But my very first comic book that I'm going to show here isn't a very famous comic, but it is a famous a famous artist's favorite cover that they have ever done. Now, I never even knew about this story, but Reggie from Reggie Collects, he inspires so many people. Back in 2020, during the pandemic days, and I wish I could remember, but there was an online comic book convention. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, right,
it just showed up one year and it was done. Reggie, for that convention, he interviewed Clayton Crane. He asked Clayton Crane a whole bunch of questions. It was a great interview. That actually was the first time that I heard Clayton Crane speak. But one of the questions, he said, what was your favorite cover that you have ever done? Crane instantly said, Sensational Spider-Man 32. He says he's worked on that cover. He's reworked on the cover. But it's just something about it he, as an artist, really, really enjoyed. Now, here's what it is. I actually got to meet Clayton Crane last summer of 2020. Hey, that's a nice book, Joe. That's a gorgeous book right there. I got to meet Clayton Crane at a signing at a local comic book shop, local to me. And I was able to interview him. The cameraman, Spencer, was filming. And I got to hear all about this comic that Clayton Crane worked on. He worked on it, and there was just something about it. He says that it just fascinated him. He still works on that cover to this day. He loves the original. He doesn't really mess with the original. But what he does is he just plays around with this great cover, and it's Spider-Man and Mary Jane on his back, and they're going through New York City. Just amazing cover. I like the story behind this. I like the fact that I was actually able to meet Clayton Crane, and he did give one of his Infinity signatures here, and it's so hard to do this. I don't know where my hand's at. But anyhow, I had him put the signature at a diagonal because it just fit the space of the comic book. So while this isn't a famous comic, this is one of the most famous artists' favorite cover. So I kind of really dug that one. And I don't know if he'll ever top that one in my mind. And Clayton Crane's one of those artists. Everybody has a favorite Clayton Crane cover art, something. But for this to be his favorite, that must mean something. This was a hard 9.8 to track down. I think there's only 4 of them in the world that are signed, and there aren't very many 9.8s that aren't signed. It's a cool book. It's a Spider-Man book, but it's not an amazing Spider-Man book. So just a lot of people didn't send them in to get, graded. Now, this next book that I have, this is a very famous one, okay? This is a Jim Steranko book. Now, it is famous. A lot of people might have this. This is iconic. In fact, CGC used this image for the Hulk label, which I had to custom label, put on, the signed book. And Jim Steranko did sign this book. Oh my gosh. I just realized something. I'm becoming Master Blaster with all these signed books. 2 years ago, I didn't have one signed book in the collection. Now I'm becoming Master Blaster. This is getting scary. Okay. But I do. I'm starting to get signed books. It is a good hairstyle. Master Blaster does have a great hairdresser. But nice signature here.
Beautiful.
Now, what makes this book really, really cool is the story. There's no importance to this story. It's actually kind of a throwaway story. This is an annual. The Hulk battles the Inhumans. No first, I don't mean throwaway story, but I just mean it wasn't monumental. There was no first appearances, no first anything, no key part of this book. But this cover makes this book coveted. It makes it iconic. And this is one of those, rare books that people just love the cover for the cover and not so much for the comic book itself. So those are my 2.
But Matt, you forgot an important part of that cover, right?
Ooh,
what about Hulk's face? What happened with Hulk's face? Marie Severson, right?
Oh, Joe, this is a great story.
Oh,
thank you, sir.
I just thought you didn't talk enough, Matt. You needed to talk a little bit more.
I do. I have a gift of gab and something.
Oh my gosh, Pretty Fly.
Pretty Fly. Thank you. Okay. He has me on timer because I've been known to be long-winded. All right. Now, here's the story about this, okay? Jim Steranko's original face was too mean. Now, I don't know how you get too mean for the Incredible Hulk, but I do understand it was 1968. You still had the Comic Code, and, the Comic Code Authority is on there. Well, the face was too mean. So they got Marie Severin, who was a fabulous artist, okay, who has many, many great works of art. She redid the face for this, which I don't know. I mean, I'm so happy that she did it, but at the same time, I don't know. I would like to see Jim Steranko's original mean Hulk face. I doubt it's really mean. It's just probably 1968, and no one wanted to corrupt little Joey Travato. It was just a little straplin in New York City buying comic books at the local newsstand.
I would tell you, I think that she's a great artist. I don't say no, right? But she made Hulk look like Pretty Boy Floyd, frankly. I think Hulk needed to look a little bit more like, I don't know. Can't say. But look,
Hulk's a good-looking man. I'm just going to tell you.
Wouldn't you want to go out with that guy? I would.
Look at that guy. I'd be afraid to be around him, around the ladies, because if I'm around this guy and around the ladies, he has them all, okay?
You'd be green with envy.
Ooh, bada bing. All right.
Bad jokes.
Sorry.
Wayne's next up, and he has some great books here.
I don't know. We'll see. It's funny you should mention the Hulk, because once you pulled that book out, I went, oh, one of the books I should have pulled out, which I didn't pull out, was Cap 110, which is one of my all-time favorites, and I don't know why I didn't think of it. Because the Hulk on Cap 110 is just so menacing that actually that's the art that I have. Well, I was gifted, but Frog Boy did that cover for me. So, but actually isn't one of the 2 that I've chosen. So 2 I've chosen. One is an iconic cover, and that's what I'm going to show first. And this is one I actually was afraid that perhaps Joe might duplicate. It's not. I'm not just showing it because it's.
Don't make me have to run downstairs.
I know.
if the camera goes off, you know what happened. It's an iconic, absolutely iconic cover, iconic story. It's important in many, many ways. But structurally, the way it's composed, it's one of my favorite covers of all time.
I almost think that was in my hands for a while, but I put it down.
I was afraid you might pick it, but Flash 123, Flash of Two Worlds. I mean, this Gardner Fox and Murphy Anderson cover is just
so sweet.
It's so iconic. It's so repeated. I mean, to the point they even duplicated this in the second episode of the second season of The Flash, when Jay Garrick and Barry Allen were saving Peggy Spivak. Like, they actually had them both run around a wall to her, saying, "I'm coming." So, I mean, there you go. I mean, it's so iconic. It's so gorgeous. But just the way they structure like this, they've separated them, but they're about to come together, sort of like two worlds merging, is just so amazing. I just love this book. One day I'd like to get a really nice copy of it. I did see a 9.2 come up for sale for $17,000.
Whoa.
Not buying it. One day I'd like to get like a 5.0, but I love this book. Like, this is one of
mine is missing a little piece at the top too, but Wayne, but 9-year-old Joey Travato, as someone called me, bought that book. And and I bought it because I saw this other Flash in there, and it was kind of my real introduction to knowing that there was these other heroes. Yeah. You know? And then, you know, when the other one that I had in my hands but I didn't do was like the Justice League 21, I think it is, you know, where they first did their first combined Justice Society Justice League thing.
Oh, with the clouds and they're looking down.
Yeah. That was the other one I had in my hands, but I didn't use either one of the two. But that to me was my introduction to that, and it started me saying, well, gee, what was going on before? And it really got me interested in the Justice Society and the characters there. So that was a big comic book for me too.
So the other book I've chosen is sort of vaguely, kind of sort of strangely connected to it. This book was, and I've told the story before, first book I remember ever buying with my own money in a corner store. I was like 10 years old. And it's meant so much to me that every time I see this book, I buy it. I've got like 12 copies of it. But I got this one. I bought one of the few books I bought, Signature Series. It's signed by Rick Buckler. I really would like to get Roy Thomas to sign this. All-Star Squadron 1. Wow. Nice. I love this book. I love this series. It was my introduction to buying comics. And just, you know, as a kid, you go to this, you know, your Spider-Mans and your Hulks and your Batmans and Supermans, but you're like, oh, I recognize Hawkman. But then you're like, well, who's this guy? And then you realize that's the, you know, Golden Age Adam. And then you start seeing all these other characters with photos, and they're trying to decide who's going to make up the squadron. And there's like, you know, Green Arrow and stuff. But there's other ones kids like me wouldn't know, like Liberty Bell and the Tarantula and Shining Knight and I love this as a kid. I really, really love this as a kid, and it means so much to me personally that I had to pull it out as the book that means the most to me as a collector. So
I love that cover. I just love it.
Yeah, it's a great cover. Like, I just love the fact you see so many heroes, but not just standing around. They're photos, and there's like a decision being made, and it's like, what's this going to lead to? And it kind of draws the reader in.
That again, Wayne? Who is the artist again? The artist on that cover?
Rick Buckner.
Rick Buckner. Okay.
Wow.
And I think Jerry Ordway also did the art internal. So
you can tell that you're definitely a DC guy with that awesome book.
No, okay, look, I know we said two, but I have two. I have two honorable mentions I want to throw out.
Oh,
and I'm not going to step on anyone, but I have trouble. And I just wanted to pop this one up because I think this is one of the coolest covers ever made. And if I've stepped on someone, I'm sorry. Web of Spider-Man 32. Spider-Man crawling out of the grave.
What a good book.
Come on. That's like one of the coolest covers ever done.
Yeah.
Spidey crawling out of a grave. I mean,
that's so gritty right there.
Yeah. I like how it's monochromatic too. It's pretty cool.
And Craven's Last Hunt was just one of my favorite stories. And just for humor's sake, for composition of, you know.
Nice.
You like showing that one, don't you?
That's one of my favorite covers of all time. I spent a lot of money getting that just because I wanted it so badly. Now I have to get Elf with the seal. Well,
Oh, made
but-
this feel nice.
but
They might as well
that's
put a
what I-
bubble. It's just like, oh, got wood.
Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites. I am going to send this in to CGC as well. I just got to press and it, but that's going to go in. I love that part.
Doug Bratton has a good explanation for it.
What was it?
Doug Bratton. I was laughing at that. Anyway,
So that's
That
my
cover
list.
is so
I think
famous.
we're on to Pretty Fly now, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
on to Pretty Fly. Okay,
Well-
let's go. Let's get Pretty Fly in the honor roll here.
I too have added honorable mentions since the Blaster Zone.
Oh, come on.
bailed
Now,
on
guys.
us. They
I
bailed
got to
on
run
us.
downstairs and get some honorable mentions now.
Well, I do have a blank cover. That's kind of interesting. It's for Grayson #1. I named my son Grayson, and on the blank cover, I put his fingerprints.
Oh, that's
Cool.
When he was born.
That's
So I was looking
That
at it,
is
it's like,
awesome.
oh, let me just share this real quick since
That's
That's
nice.
cool.
Blasters bailed on us.
Okay, you win.
Wait, this isn't a competition night.
Yeah, we got plenty of competition going on tonight.
Right.
So, part of the covers that I do like, they bring like some sort of cool perspective, interesting perspective on the characters, and because I know there's like Art Jump can come like this masterful, like a masterpiece or Jim Lee, but the ones that really like catch my attention are the ones that actually include a interesting perspective on the character. And a good example of one is this. I know it's fairly modern,
Oh, cool.
but
Love
Nice.
that book.
it's a Gleason. It's the other Gleason book that just came out. What I do like about it is because we get to see Peter's POV, and Gleason could have just drawn like his POV literally, but he actually was creative enough to actually put the POV on his lenses. So that's kind of cool. It kind of brings you like a perspective on what it's like to swing, to web swing
awesome.
on the cover. So I thought I'd throw that in there since the Blasters bailed on us.
When that book came out, Pretty Fly, you DM'd me and highlighted that comic book. And from that moment on, I'm like, this is an amazing cover. And
You're
then he
talking about
comes out with the more famous one that I don't think is half as good,
Yeah.
ASM 55.
Yeah. Because this is 54 and the black cover is 55. That's the. Actually, I did a video on that one back when I was productive and I was making videos for Joe. But the real covers that I was planning on showing tonight, one of them is I know.
He's going for more books.
Yeah, we
He's
just
out.
broke the mold. We just broke his plans for tonight. But well, let's cut to the chase. So, Batman 566.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's a cool cover.
Yeah, that's great. I
It
love
is a
that.
pretty cool cover because it's a literal take on the expression Batman's rogues gallery.
Yeah.
So and I do like this is Giordino, right? Yeah, Giordino.
Yeah,
Giordano. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, Italian Joe. I just messed up.
Giordano.
Giordano, there you go. I'm not a paisan, so anyway, I like how he has like converging lines because this is a pretty busy book, but the fact that he has like this converging lines towards Batman, I think that's a pretty cool move, and the light behind Batman kind of highlights him. But the main reason why I like this book, speaking of perspectives, is I've always looked at Batman's villains are as a part of himself, like bits and part of himself, where if Batman just let go of the reins, he would be one of these villains. For example, if Batman operates above the law, but if he really perverted that, he'd be Ra's al Ghul. Because Ra's al Ghul has a crusade of setting the planet back in balance and whatnot. Or if he had issues with his duality, it'd be Two-Face. Joker, he and Bruce had one bad day, so one took it better than the other, right? So that's how. I mean, don't ask me about Kite Man though. I have nothing for that one. But I think that's why Batman's villains are so iconic in themselves, because I think they are so intensely related to Batman, and you know, Batman's the only guy that can catch him because he knows how they think, you know, because I think he sees a part of himself in them, and I think that's where the compassion is too for these villains. That's why he doesn't want to kill them or anything, because you know, they are as broken as he is, so he kind of has a compassion for that. So you know, send them to Arkham. I know they're gonna escape, I know, but you know, maybe they'll be, you know,
Can I tell a little story about that? Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
So about a few years ago, pre-COVID, Paul Levitz was giving a talk on Batman in the city. So I bought the ticket, you know, and I went to see him. And of course, he starts talking about Batman, and then he brings in Superman a little bit. And he had Batman all wrong. I don't care if he was the publisher of DC, and you know, he had him all wrong. He kept on talking about Batman being, you know, being basically created by the city around him. And I said, no, Batman was born when his parents died. That was the trauma in him, you know? And Superman basically had his parents that made him into the Boy Scout type of thing. But he had this. And you're right. I think he was broken. And all of his criminals, I mean, if you get into background and stuff, they're all broken in one way or the other. Yeah. So they're very much alike. And I agree with you. And although Levitt said, well, we can only have our own opinions, you know?
Yeah, because when you look at the animated series, like every time they introduce a new villain, they have an origin story for that villain. And they're just like any normal, any happenstance that would happen to us, but they kind of take it to, their reaction to it goes to an extreme, you know? So we could be, you know, easily become a villain. But yeah, that's why I like that book, because, you know, it has that relationship. You can even think of these paintings as mirrors, you know, not just, you know, gallery paintings, but they could be like, you know, like a self-reflection for Batman.
Do you think when Batman looks at these people, he sees himself?
Yeah, I think so too.
That's cool.
And I kind of do agree that Gotham created Batman, because it's, you know, police were corrupted, and you know, Gotham is a dying city, so that's what created Batman, in my opinion. So I kind of agree with that.
All right, so you go shake hands with Paul Levitz. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to shake hands with Paul Levitz. But the next one is Giordano adjacent, and Joe did an awesome video on this book, so you guys should go back and, you know, check it out. The link is going to be up here, right? You're going to put a link up here?
I can't do that right now.
Oh, is that what YouTubers do? I don't have a YouTube channel, so I don't know how YouTube works. But anyway.
Oh, nice.
But I'm not going to talk about this cover, all right? Or this cover. Like the blasters, I do have an affinity to the backside. So I'm going to talk about the back cover instead.
Nice.
Yeah. The reason why I picked this, because I mean, I know it's fun, but we do tend to tribalize anything and everything. And we're even like, you know, being a DC fan, oh, Marvel sucks because I'm a DC fan, and vice versa. But this cover or back cover reminds us that, hey, it's all good, man. It's all comics, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter what company you like. You can prefer a company, but it doesn't mean you got to trash or be a gatekeeper or whatnot. You know, comics are comics. You got to enjoy it. And I think this cover reminds me of that. I've been reading that book, Slugfest. Have you guys heard of it? It pretty much chronicles. It's like an in-depth look on the war between Marvel and DC back in the 60s and all that. Oh. So I've been reading that. It's like a lot of crazy stuff went down. But you know, it's all comics. And it's funny. The funny thing about that book too, what happened back then echoes what's happening now with the movies. So I suggest you guys read that book. It's called Slugfest.
Look right, I heard about that.
Yeah,
on Amazon.
Cool. Good.
But you know, but that's it. You know, I just love this cover because, you know, it's just the flagship of both companies. Just, you know,
right. And if you remember on that, thanks for mentioning that video. That was an enjoyable video. Matter of fact, that people voted for other ones that they wanted me to show, you know, because I showed some other ones. So I'm going to have to do some other ones there. But what I did is I took that photo and I put that photo on the thumbnail. Basically, that back cover is on the thumbnail. without the background and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was cool myself.
Yeah. And I like how both characters they still have a gap to abide by the urinal theory. You know about the urinal theory?
Yeah.
Where two bros can't get too close to one another. So they got everything covered on that cover. So
nice.
But yeah, not to be Matt Woods, but yeah, I'll end it there. I'm barely on the show, Matt. Come on, just give me some.
You win. Hey, who did the art for that back cover?
I know Infantino, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. Infantino.
Probably, I can't remember now, but probably the same.
A lot of people's hands got on this cover. I think like Neil Adams had some stuff to do with it.
Yeah, Neil Adams changed Superman's face on
face because it looks like an Adams face for Superman for sure.
Yeah, Jordan did the inks. I believe. You know what? I have the book. I can open it because it's not slabbed. Yeah, Infantino, Giordano,
Paul,
Jerry Serp did it. Go ahead.
No, it does. It's guy Paul. I can't remember his name now. That drew the Superman stuff, and at that time, as I remember the story, Giordano was working with Adams's company that he had, because he had like a commercial company as well. And so when it came into him for the inking, I think Neil Adams saw it and said, "This sucks," and so he started and so he didn't mention anything about that until after the guy that did the original passed away, just out of respect for him. But that was kind of an interesting story.
Imagine if somebody did that today, Photoshop their own.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Okay, who's up next?
Alan,
right?
My Pinoy brother from another mother.
Cool. Well, I have
yours.
Yeah, I have a couple books, and then actually they actually come with stories more so about the book than just the art itself. So the first one is actually this one, Justice League Dark #2. So Alvaro Martinez Bueno, like it's funny. In 2019, I got back into comics. This is one of the first books I picked up. I started reading. I really liked it, and I actually emailed Alvaro. Like I just emailed him, like asking him about like if he sold original art, and this is kind of a call out to our missing Master and Madam Blaster. But I asked him about him selling original art, and we had a lot of good back and forth. And I actually got a piece of original art from him. It's not from this book, but the reason why I like this book is if you notice it, there's like lots of upside down stairs, left and right stairs. So I was really big on MC Escher and a lot of those types of weird, trippy type of art. So when he drew this, and like I kind of gravitated to this because like, you have Wonder Woman in the middle, like you have Dr. Fate. I really like Dr. Fate. And you just have all of these characters like in this book. So I think from lots of my back and forth with Alvaro and like kind of being really into MC Escher, this kind of is the book that I kind of picked as my first pick. Yeah, so that was my first pick. And my second one is actually a little bit more iconic. So this one, I'll tell a little bit of the story behind it first. So this is also in 2019 when I first started collecting, and I didn't really know anything about comic books. So the people that I knew about comic books were my LCS owners. So I just like talked to them, and I would just spend like hours in the LCS just talking to them about like different types of books, like golden, silver, copper, and whatnot. And I told this local shop that like, hey, I'm looking for like X-Men books. So if you ever get in a collection, just let me know. I was traveling. I was in Europe. I got a call at 3 a.m. I woke up and I noticed this is pre all those spam calls, right? So I picked it up. And then they're like, oh, hey, I'm blah, blah, blah from this shop. I got this book in. Do you want me to hold it for you? I'm like, can you hold it for 2 weeks? I'm going to be back in 2 weeks. And she was like, yes, I will hold it for you. No questions asked. Went back home, picked it up raw, and I got it slabbed. So
nice.
This, like, I've just seen so many like reproductions of this book or of this issue, right? I know there's a couple of even X-Men when they transitioned between different teams and stuff. They brought out a couple different versions of it, right? So I think I have like one of them. like even like 126, like they're just jumping out of the page. I really like that type of art, actually. So yeah, this is Dave Cockrum, right? So I think Dave Cockrum did that. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Tina. So I do have one honorable mention, since, like, and my predecessors did as well. And this is a shout out to young Matthew. This is like one of his favorite covers. Sorry, Matt. I know you went first.
I never had an encore. You guys are killing me.
Yeah. So this is probably my top 2 or 3 favorite covers. Of when Spider-Man kind of walks, or when Peter Parker walks away from Spider-Man. And this has just been redone so many times. Reading this book, this is actually one of my favorite storylines. I know it's first appearance of Kingpin and whatnot, but this is like that turning point of when Peter kind of is like, do I really need to do this? And then he realizes that he does need to be Spider-Man. So I think this is kind of the epitome type of cover for his character. So that's why it was part of my original 2, but I had to put Alvaro in there.
Alan, I was about to share that cover, but I have a facsimile, so I didn't want Joe to be demonetized because I showed a facsimile cover. Right? You can't show a facsimile. You can't show off facsimile covers on YouTube, right? So,
I think you can.
You can.
Or ASM 33. That's another good one too.
Yeah. Oh, that's the water one?
Yeah. Joe you have one, right, Joe?
Well, I'm up next, right?
Yes.
And you're right that I do have one. And I'm going to start off with number 33.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Now,
the one.
Now, obviously, the cover itself is just an amazing cover by Ditko. But to me, it was more kind of what it represented in the storyline in there. Because when you look at it, I think in Key Collector, it says Spider-Man shows a new power, like super strength or something like that, whatever they say. But the point of the matter was, if you remember, he was basically done. There's so many different things you can take out of this, but he was basically done. But he realized that if he was done, that his Aunt May wasn't going to get the medicine she needed, and she was going to pass away as well. So it was that whole thing about family and the fact that people relied upon him that kind of gave him that wherewithal to finally lift all this machinery off of himself, which in the prior 32 issues he wouldn't have been able to do. So it was really something that was internal to him that he already had. And so it brought up a lot of different things to me, and one of the things that I did when I was working, I recently reread it because I just wanted to read it again. I think I showed this on Gary B's channel as well, so I wanted to reread it. But then it brought some other stuff to mind to me, and which is that sometimes this was all internal inside of Peter Parker or Spider-Man, but sometimes we can do the same thing, So it was actually kind of his Aunt May that inspired him here. And when I was working, I had way back many years ago, I was one of the founders of the mentoring program for the law department in my company. And, then as everything happens, you kind of step back, other people take over, make it their own. That's fine. That's what it needs to be. But a few years before I retired, someone found out that I was the one who started it. So they asked me if I would come and speak to the new group of mentees that are going to be mentored. And so just like Matt Woods, I can talk forever. So I just went up there. I wasn't thinking about what I was going to say. But when I got up there, I started thinking about the one person at work who was my boss. Never really thought of himself as being my mentor. But what he doesn't realize is he gave me these opportunities. And he showed me some skills and things that I had that I didn't know I had. I mean, I had this, just like Spider-Man had this strength inside of him, but it was something else. It was this other person who gave me the opportunity, the wherewithal, to pull these abilities out. And so to me, this always is going to be one of my favorite covers. The cover is great, but it's what it represents and the storyline inside. And, for me, that's always what I tried to do then. I always tried to help, other young attorneys and so forth, because I thought you could say it's like paying it forward or what have you. But to me, it was, you need somebody. You could do things on your own. But if there's somebody that can just help you get that spark and see what's there, you can do a lot more because we all have it inside of us. We just need somebody to help us bring it out. And so that's why I think this is one of my favorite Spider-Man covers and stories.
Nice.
Homecoming did an homage to that, the first Tom Holland movie.
Oh yeah.
Where he actually, yeah. If you rewatch it again, you'll see it. You'll see it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I just wanted to show this because we talked about this is the compatriot.
Wow.
Flash.
Yeah, I love that one.
Beautiful.
Because I had it here. The other one, this is an interesting one. It's Batman versus Ra's al Ghul #1. It's a variant cover by Neil Adams.
Yep.
But the reason that I'm showing this is really because of Neil Adams.
Mm-hmm.
One of the joys that I had in going to the New York Comic Con is I was always take a couple $100 with me, and I was going to Neil Adams, and I would always buy something from him. And the reason I would do that is because I wanted to talk to him. I liked talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time I bought a couple of covers from him that he signed for me. And this was an interesting one. And it allowed me to talk to him about his daughter a little bit. And I won't get into the specifics of it because I don't think that's fair. But the reason I get to talk to, and you could see he loved his daughter. I think she's one of the ones on his Instagram site now, selling some of his stuff and all that. He spoke a little bit about her, what she was doing, how she helped him out. And he said that she was artistic and was doing something with stamps, like stamping. I don't know if you guys know what stamping is. My wife did some of that, but there's stamping where you have some stamps and you can do designs and all that. And he knew he had this cover, and he was going to bring a bunch of them, with him and so forth to sign. And I think these are numbered. There's only 50 of them. This is number 12.
Wow.
So what he did was, so he had this cover. I thought it was a cool cover. I said, "Oh, I'll buy this from you. You sign it." He goes, "Yeah," and he signs it. Then he takes out a stamp, a rubber stamp. It's got this kind of weird thing on it, and a rubber ink pad. He puts it down on that, and I said, "Well, what are you doing? What are you doing?" He says, "Well, my daughter started doing this, blah 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 blah." And I said to him, this is the artist speaking, right? He said, "I started thinking it would be really cool to do it on Batman's cowl and make it almost kind of like it's like kind of blood dripping from it."
Oh wow!
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So he goes there and he puts it on. And he goes, "Just wish me luck that I don't smear it." I go, I feel like saying, "Well, if you're smearing it, I'm not buying the damn thing." But I'm saying, "You're ready to sign." So he puts it on there. He pushes it on. He takes it out and he goes, "Oh, perfect." And then he had to put it down to dry. So enable us to talk a little bit longer about different things.
Nice.
Wow.
So to me, this is a great cover, not because there's only 50 of them or what have you, but because he got the idea from his daughter, and he talked about his daughter very lovingly, and we got to talk a little bit about our families, and because it had to dry, we had an extra minute or so, which was really a great thing to do. So this is my second cover.
Oh, that's perfect.
Wow.
Cool.
And my honorable mention, sorry, Matt.
I'm
Honorable
stealing
mention
an
is
honorable
which
mention when we're done.
I also showed at the at Gary B's. This is the one. Now, Gary B had a he had a patriotic cover show. This was a month ago, and I was on it, and we had I think 5 or 6 rounds. This is the round I won with this one. Now the reason I wanted to show this is because Pretty Fly, you showed the Patrick Gleason other cover.
Mhm.
You know who drew this? Patrick Gleason.
Oh,
And this is one of
nice.
my favorite Action Comics 1000 covers. There's only 4 of them I think that CGC has graded. And I'm toying with the idea, even though it's not really worth much, of sending this in because Gleason is going to be down in Tampa and have him sign this. I don't know whether we get a 9.8 or what have you, but I don't really care. To me, it's more, I don't know what people think and all that, but I'm very patriotic because I think about my parents, my father being born here and always saying, "I'm coming back to America." I consider myself to be an American. He came back here. He worked in factories. My mother worked in factories to make the next generation better. And their son became a lawyer, fairly successful, doing well. They worked their asses off for this, and it's only
Yeah.
the United States and America that allowed this to happen.
Yeah.
And I try to do the same thing with my kids, to teach them morals and so forth like that, and to think about, one of them now, my daughter's a doctor. She's doing a residency at Boston Medical Center. My son is a senior engineer. He's making microchips, guys. So this is an important job, up in upstate New York. And so you try to do that for the next generation. When you look at this picture, with the flag there, this to me is just a terrific cover. Even having crypto there is terrific. But to me, I love this cover. I love this cover. I think Gleason did a great job with this cover. Better than that Batman 50, rather than Spider-Man 55. So this is my honorable mention, if anything else.
Yeah, he's gonna be bombarded with ASM 55, so he'll be happy to be signing that book.
Yeah, I'll probably send it in. I think I'm putting it together. I think I'm trying to decide which ones to send in for different things there. And this is probably only worth about, even at a 9.8 graded. I don't know about signed. Maybe signed for a little bit more, but it's only about $40 book. It's not really expensive, so it'll probably cost me that much just to get it, to get it signed and sent back and forth.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Nice.
So I don't know what you guys think. I think we showed some really good covers. Matt, do you want to show an honorable mention?
Yes, I do. Okay. I'm inspired by you guys. And Joe, you hit on something very important, okay? Like, we're comic book people. We're adults. We have adult responsibilities. We have adult mindsets where, things have to happen in life. Bills have to get paid. Life kicks you in the teeth every now and then. But when you're a comic book fan, whether you're a kid or you're an adult, you look for the good that can be, the dreams, the possibilities that can be out there. Whether it is an immigrant family working hard to send their kid off to school, and then that young kid goes and he does tremendous service for his own kids. And that's one of the things that I really like about this hobby is we all have these dreams, we have these aspirations, and we have these very motivational stories. Okay, now there is a person who is a friend of the channel, a friend in real life, who had this dream. Okay, and as a young kid, as an adult, he never let this dream go, and he put it out on pen and paper. He's been writing for years, and he's always wanted to do what he has just done. And I'm talking about our very own Doug Bratton, who is an inspiration to so many people because he had a dream and he never let it go. And he put it down on pen and paper. Nice cover. And honestly, the way he goes about himself, how he carries himself with class, how he cares about his family. He's a very strong family man. And he still has these goals for this great story. I read this story for the first time last night. Now, I did get a chance to read the first 7 pages. An amazing 7 pages.
Don't say anything about the story yet. I have to just
won't say a word about it, but I'm going to say I was just turning the pages. And I am so excited to see what comes out of this man's mind going forward. Because, guys, I'm telling you, I am so flabbergasted and absolutely astonished at the talent of the Brattons. Okay, Dave, you have so much talent too. You're just like your kid brother. All right. But hats off to Reggie. Hats off to Delia Gunderson for, all coming together, being collaborative, and many more people who's just names I just don't remember, but they all came together and they had a dream. And this is my last cover, or this isolation. This is my last cover. This is my encore for this week.
Well done.
Nice. Really good.
No, that was a no spoiler cover show. That was good.
I wouldn't spoil it.
No spoilers. All right, so that's kind of cool, guys. I think I love this show.
Yeah, this is awesome.
This was good.
Speaking of America, look at
and
us.
Doug, actually, you mentioned Doug. Doug Doug
Hey, we
actually
have
had
a
an idea
great
for another
Canadian
show.
in here, guys. Don't forget about that man.
Well, that's
Exactly.
America's hat. All right.
Oh boy!
Hey, we
I'm
wouldn't
kidding,
have
I'm
what we are
kidding.
today without our friends from the north.
What did I miss? Did I
Keep us
miss
warm.
something?
Don't worry about it, Joe. Bears not repeating.
All right. All right. So I think Doug actually had an idea for another show, which I thought was pretty good. So maybe we'll take that up as well. Okay. So now that we've talked a lot, we get to the nitty gritty. All right. Last show, we had the Master Blaster drawing challenge. And so we all drew our little pictures and so forth. And then I asked you guys out there to please vote for which one you thought was the best so that that person can have bragging rights. And also, you're given the opportunity of signing up and going to win a mystery box, which will have, a few Silver Age comics in there, some Bronze Age comics, and some modern comics as well. So what we're going to do right now, and give me a chance to see if I can find the stuff here, is we're going to wait on that. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to find out who the winner was. Now, I have to say that I thought my drawing was pretty cool. It wasn't this one. It was this one, right? So we had some pretty cool drawings. So I fully anticipate that I will win. So we'll have to just wait and see how that works out.
It's going to be close.
It's going to be close. All right. So let's see who the winner is. Hold on, guys. Me. So look how surprised she was that she won. Could you believe it? And there they are. We miss you. We wish you were here today with us. Okay.
That had to have been a nail biter election.
Yes. Oh, so close.
As a matter of fact, it was super close. So close that when I show you the actual voting results, your jaws are just going to drop. So just hold on a second while I bring that up as well here. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so there it is.
Oh, I'm purple?
So here we go. So Madam Blaster only got 72.7% of the votes.
Oh.
All right.
She got robbed.
No. I actually got 3 votes.
Nice.
I'm in
All right.
second. Woo! 9.1%. See,
So are you saying it was,
guys? How close can it be? Right?
are you saying it was so close that it's so close to Steve almost getting a vote, or?
Well, unfortunately,
Sorry, Steve. I'm just
everything
kidding.
is green,
He wants a
and I don't
recount.
see any green here.
Woo.
So that's kind of surprised me.
I don't see any green there. I'm just saying.
No green. No green.
You got to squint really hard.
Yeah.
Really, really hard.
Yeah. So
You got to zoom in by
That's a glare
1,000%.
from his head. That's the keeping me.
Madam won with the same percentages as the I voted purple spider monster kid. I don't know what that means. And Chuck, you're right. Just outside the recount. If I got one more vote, I would have demanded a recount. But anyway, so that was actually pretty cool.
I like how the pie chart looks like.
So that was a great challenge that Master Blaster. Too bad Madam Blaster, is she still on? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think she is.
What's Wayne? Oh, I don't know. I missed that.
I think it's my dig at Steve. She was.
Yeah. Don't say it out loud.
Can't say his name.
I'm
I
sorry,
didn't
Steve.
say it. I just said I didn't see any green.
Shall not
That's
be
all I said.
named.
So that's it. But anyway, so that was a lot of fun, and I don't know. Maybe we'll do something like that again or whatever. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah,
But I just
definitely.
think that was a lot of fun. All right. So now the time comes to find out who is the winner
Ooh.
of the mystery box. And let me see.
Bada bing.
Yeah, you got to hold on there because, oh, I see. I'm not good at this stuff here. Let's see. Let me get to the, oh, here we go. Got it. All right. So we have our Anachronic Comics spin wheel. We had 33 entries, which is pretty cool. All right. Yeah. So here's the entries. Some people I don't know, other people I do know. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at this, some members of the comic book crew have actually entered, which is fine. Doug Bratton, I asked people to put down their YouTube channel names. So Doug put down not applicable. Put down this. Naman is there. Phil is there. Pretty Fly, you're there. Yeah. Some person named Kay. I don't know who that is. That's interesting.
Can't get rid of me, Joe.
Yeah, I know. Richard is there.
He keeps spraying, but I keep
Studios. Trev is there. Wellbore. All right, so we'll shuffle this a few times. 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, and now we're going to spin and find out who wins. Ready? Oh, yeah, before that, if you win,
the suspense.
You got to send me you got to. I'll put it up here. If you win, you got to send me an email or something like that, so I know where to send you this stuff. All right, right there. That's the information. Okay, ready? Let's shuffle one more time. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Come on. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Yeah, dude.
Bratton wins it.
Nice.
Well done.
Those friends are all winners.
Congratulations to Dave. Congratulations
nice.
to Dave.
Congrats.
So I don't think Dave is on here. So somebody's got to tell Dave that he won. Because I never talked to the guy.
Yeah. I'll talk to him later.
All right, great. So I've got a package I'm putting together downstairs. We'll send it out and we'll get that done. So I think this was a great show. I had a good time.
I had a great
time. How about you guys?
That was so fun. Yeah.
And I think the people in the chat, we got some really, really, really good chat guys here. I mean, some really, really good stuff there. So
I think see the chat.
As a practical matter, I mean, when Pretty flies in the chat, it's even better.
Yes.
I love having him on the show as well.
I like making baseless comments on the chat.
All right. So anybody have anything they want to publicize or anything along those lines? Well, I do.
All right, Joe.
You start, Joe.
So I posted, and I don't know why I didn't get more views. I posted a really great video last Wednesday. The first of a 10-part series. Yeah, where it's DC versus Marvel, based on the 10 most valuable rated comic books on Go Collect. It takes me a lot of time to put one of these together. So in 1960, one of those two won, but I go through the top 10, the highest grade that has available sales information to it. I give you the amount, and then we add them up, and we find out who wins. I'm working on 1961. I'm 1960s guys, right? So I'm working on 1961 now. Almost finished with the calculations. So that might be up next Wednesday. If not, it might be a little bit longer to be involved with that. But we'll get those up as soon as we can. If we can get one up every week, I'll do that. But if not, we'll get it up as soon as we can. So take a look at that. I think it's really cool. I think you'll enjoy it.
If you're in the chat and you have not seen Anachronic Comics video on the 1960, oh my gosh, guys, it is such an awesome video. A lot of great information that honestly I didn't know. And Joe did a fabulous job putting that together. That is a must-see video.
Well, thank you. Thank you. The other thing I want to say is I'm working on another series. Pretty Fine knows a little bit about this because I asked him for some information about this thing. So I'm just going to give you a little tease on that. I think you know what I'm going to show, Pretty Fly, because I showed it to you for comment. All right. This may be, a few weeks in the offing, but I think it's going to be cool. Ready? Here it is.
Hey.
So you're gonna have to wait and see what that means.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
When it comes out, it's gonna be really super cool.
Wonder what it's about.
I don't know. I haven't figured that part out yet.
Yeah.
But when I figure it out, we'll put the show on. How's that?
Yeah.
I just thought DC watches was really cool. Anyway, all right. So again, thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks to the members of the show. I think I had such a great time on this. I was a little bit like a daisical coming upstairs, but you guys gave me the energy.
There we go.
It's really cool. So let's say we'll be on again next month. I guess towards the end of the month. Not sure when, but we'll be doing that. So I think as a practical matter, we haven't gotten a topic yet. So if you have any topics you want to send it off to me, we'll consider it. We have a few in the can that we're talking about, but we'd like to get the topics from you guys. And I think that's the best thing to do if you can. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Just
All right,
thanks.
so let's just say bye-bye.
Bye.